entrenched incumbent economic player, it benefits from the status quo. So Koch benefits over the decades or rather over the years when you see political stalemate, political dysfunction, political conflict. In an environment like that, the entities that win time and time again are the entrenched incumbents who benefit from the status quo, and Koch is a perfect example of that.
If you're just joining us, my guest is Christopher Leonard. He's the author of the new book, Kochland, The Secret History of Koch Industries and Corporate Power in America. We'll be right back. The author of the new book, Kochland, The Secret History of Koch Industries and Corporate Power in America. The book is also about Koch political power in America. You explained that the Kochs did not support Donald Trump in the primaries, and you say everything Trump stood for was a threat to the Kochs. What were the things he stood for that was a threat? Why were they a threat? What did he stand for?
Oh, he stood for an entirely different vision of the Republican Party. Charles Koch believes he has found the blueprint for how to organize society, and the blueprint is non-negotiable. Government must play as small of a role as possible. You have to have a voluntary market exchange system, and that's it. No public highways, no Social Security, no Medicare. That's the Charles Koch vision, and he's been patiently trying to make that the vision of the Republican Party for decades. Donald Trump has an entirely different view of what the White House is for. And, it's a cliche to say that Trump just came in out of nowhere and upended the game table of politics in 2016, but it's very true. And when you're inside the Koch network, a lot of Donald Trump's rhetoric is dangerous. He is ideologically impure from the point of view of the Koch network. And I can say that in the sort of subterranean world of Congress where there's lobbyists and congressional staffers writing laws, there is a fight right now to grab control of the steering wheel of the Republican Party. And if Donald Trump wins re-election, I think it's viewed by the lobbyists that work with Koch that it will reshape the Republican Party for a generation.
And how does that go against the Koch vision?
Charles Koch believes that any government program, no matter how well-intentioned, it only causes more harm than good. And, the tariffs and the so-called trade war that's going on right now is a perfect example of this. Donald Trump has shown he's willing to intervene dramatically in the marketplace to achieve his policy goals. That is anathema to the Koch network. And I have to say it's anathema not just ideologically, but economically.
You say that the Koch agenda now with Trump in the White House is block and tackle, block legislation that Trump wants that the Koch brothers don't want, and that help Trump tackle projects or legislation that the Kochs support. How's that been working?
Well, I have to say this strategy has been working extremely well for Koch's interests. If Charles Koch had a Christmas list of 99 items, he's gotten 98 since Trump got into the White House. The Koch strategy, as always, is patient, flexible, and focused on the actual subterranean machinery of government. So you've seen Charles Koch write op-eds that he is upset about tariffs. And there is this political danger that the Koch network could lose the Republican base forever if Trump is reelected. But when you look at the daily tally of policy preferences, the Koch network has done extremely well. The tax reform plan that Trump pushed was transformed. The border adjustment tax was jettisoned before it was really even publicly debated. The tax plan turned into a massive tax cut for corporations and the wealthiest Americans. The statistics show that that's the case. The middle class tax breaks are going to expire in 2022 up to 2027. So the tax preferences were realized. And then what you see, maybe most importantly, is the sustained attack on the so-called administrative state that's going on every single day but doesn't capture headlines. And that is truly music to Koch's ears, both for its business preferences and for its ideological preference, that you don't have a large government entities intervening in the marketplace.
Right. It's getting rid of a lot of regulations. and dismantling part of the agencies that oversee the regulations.
I mean, gosh, talking about deregulation almost sounds like the Reagan era, and that's what's happening right now surpasses that so dramatically. It's, for example, the EPA has been I have to call it a nemesis of Koch Industries for decades. And it's not just that the Trump appointees who run these agencies are trying to repeal the rules, which they are. They are also simply throwing sand in the gears. They are letting the workforce dissipate. The Trump administration just announced that they're moving a major division of USDA science research that did a lot of climate change research. They're moving it from D.C. to Kansas City. I'm from Kansas City. I want to see business in Kansas City. But the real intention of this is to dismantle the department. According to people I've interviewed who work for the science department, a tiny fraction of the personnel are actually going to make the move from D.C. To Kansas City. So you just see this like broad spectrum effort to hobble, dismantle,